children with no voice in borrowed rooms, to the magazines that carry their truth. 25 years of the same steady hand, finding the ones who fell through the cracks of the plan. From Mitcham to Croydon, from London to the world, every flag he planted said, you matter, you're heard, but there's a man who finds you in the quiet.
We made it.
Yes, maybe just about in time, Christina. Just about in time. You know, I could hear myself twice. I was thinking, hey, what's going wrong now? No, it's all good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited for the topic and the work we are concocting and putting together for the end of the month.
Yes, like we were saying before we came on, it's working. That's the beauty. It's actually working. You know, so I'm getting more and more leads. You know, from I guess the strategies we talk about, we share. You know, so you know, listen up, people. We're gonna start doing things a bit different. Anyway, you know, why are you so excited? You know, what's going well for you?
Oh, I'm more and more. I'm getting to work with people that are completely aligned with everything that I'm about. Uh, I'm excited because things are happening. Uh, all the hunches and that I had about a year and a half ago, where this was gonna, what direction this was gonna go, they were true. So I'm excited because I feel validated by my own gut sense. So that's happening. And again, it's not about you know reinventing the wheel. We created, you, I, and everybody listening, for years. We created content, post after post, newsletter, live events. We created so much content. It's not gone. It's just a matter of reorganizing it and really see what were the parts that people really wanted, were interested in, which ones were the hand raiser moments, right? Because those hand raiser moments, those are the questions we have to provide answers to.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. You know, and you know, there are ways that we just need to learn these days, right? And I'm just in a room just now talking about the need to learn and adapt. You know, but like you say, that what the strategies haven't changed. You know, the principles and almost the objective hasn't changed. You know, the only thing that's changed is the how. You know, and so the how obviously been a lot more. You know, it's a lot more digital these days. A lot more. You know, a lot more AI tools, AI agents, like focus to a degree. You know, but still, I don't know. But deep down, it's still, everything's about talking to people. You know, it's how people receive you, how people experience you, and your brand that really counts, right?
It's a little bit, I think I'm pronouncing it right, I'm not sure. When you do feng shui, that you rearrange to get the energy in to attract all the good things, right? In your house, it's the same thing. All your content is your house, and now you just have to rearrange those
Mm.
pieces, the headlines that were working in a way that they provide answers. That's all it is. Provide the answers.
You know, it really is it's as simple as that. You know, again, that principle is not new. You know, we've known about the need to provide value to people with everything we share. You know, our posts, our blogs, our newsletters, our email. You know, but for years we've tried to. I think we've tried to just pretend that we're doing it, even though we're nowhere near. You know, how's this going to help someone? It's never crossed our mind. You know, and I think now we need to be a lot more explicit. You know, in terms of answering the question. So you need to know what's the question. What's the question I'm answering? That goes back a long way, right? To
Mhm.
understand the question you're answering, you have to know your customers. You have to know your target audience. You have to know what they really are talking about, what their problems are, and then answer the question. It's not rocket science, right? And in the way I understand it, Christina, is that when we go and search online, very few people randomly turn the computer on and just go, oh, I'm just going to search for stuff. We don't do that. We have a question in mind. Google, how do I, where do I get this from? How does that work? How does this work? What is it? What does this mean? And so we have very clear questions. And, and I'm just amazed that many of us don't create content that actually answers a specific question. And it's but as you say, it's where we are today. It's where we are. But so today we're going to talk about this, how we combine the alchemy, the magic mix of everything, right? Christina was talking about, she likes the word architecture. I just hate it, but it's all right.
Well, the thing, what it is. For the longest time, any word that I was associated with mathematical equations, structure, architectures, uh, they were
Discover.
my enemies because I attributed it to something really static. But the moment I realized that when I place my creativity in a certain position, it was starting to generate cash, right? I got excited about architecture. I got excited about structure because it wasn't going against everything that I was. It was just saying, hold on, let's put this in order. Let's build the foundation strong, right? And if it's already there, let's organize it so that the building doesn't collapse. And then every piece, every door, every piece in the framework, there is a specific function and role that it serves.
I
So
get
think
that.
of the most beautiful castle. It has
I
so much going
get
on.
that. Like Christina, I get that. But here's my problem. My problem is that our clients, our friends, don't use that word.
By what is that word associated with? Of course, nobody's going to look for branding architecture but
Right.
argue the other thing is that we have to explain. If our brand has a specific word, or if we use our methodology, we call our methodology, for example, architecture. As long as the word architecture and methodology are in the same sentence, then actually the word architecture is what's going to differentiate you. But what you have to do, you have to explain it. Just the other day, I told you I lost internet connection a couple of days ago, so my newsletter went out late. But that's what it was about. It was about explaining the meaning of things. And I found myself comparing everything that is happening to the Great American Novel. The Great American Novel is famous for giving you the hint of how the book is gonna end on the first few pages, and
Mm.
then you connect the dots in the end, right? And it's difficult to understand. Oh, this is what's going to happen. There is all the plots and twists in the middles, only to land to one outcome, one resolution. Uh, but good readers and good students of literature, they love those footnotes, right? Because they give a meaning and an explanation to every single thing. So now our job is actually is using those footnotes as content and explanations and things that attract the right people to the right parts.
Mm. Yeah. Okay. Look,
Okay.
I was stay bothered by the word architecture and framework, blueprint.
Framework, blueprint, yes, that's what it
Yeah.
means.
Even methodology, I'll take. So no one's ever come to me and said, "Any, what's it? What's the architecture I need for my marketing?" It's like, yeah.
Oh no, that's definitely not that. It's just what you might want to call. We all do offers, ticket offers, and we all want to give it a fancy name, right? So you pick one that feels sounds good to you, that you feel good about. But the thing is, you can call it the pink balloon. You gotta explain right there
Yeah.
in the first paragraph what it is to be able to be cited.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So branding doesn't leave. We can brand ourselves with words that we like, right? As long as we explain it immediately what it is.
Cool. All right. I hear you. I hear you. So our friends are here in America. Welcome. I don't know. That looks weird from a distance, but my eyesight's not that good, right? That's a problem. you know, what's that? Was that America or American connecting the dots? I'm sure it was America, right? So Jackie's here as well, superstar Jackie. Again, I always look forward to her show later on tonight. Monday night, Jackie's there with just Jack. So I don't know. I forget who she interviewed today. But tonight, make sure you're there, right? If of course, if you're here, my friends, do comment. Do say something so I can welcome you properly. But let's begin our learning, Christina. So what's the architecture that we need to learn today? The architect secrets is called, right?
Okay. Well, we
Blend
need we need
the
to give meaning and a role to everything that we do, including just now you said comment. Don't just comment to say hello, I'm here, hi everybody, right? Just say something that is pertinent to this topic of this discussion, or something that is pertinent to your brand as related to this topic of this discussion. So make sure that every LinkedIn activity that you do perform counts as an outcome. You know, it's nice that you're here and you're here to support, right? But maybe even if you just want to say who you are and what you do, I mean, say something that has to do with this, or has to do with the reason why you're here today,
Mm,
because it's not just a comment in the void; it travels. And the main reason why we end up commenting on things is because it does a couple of things, right? One, the more you might comment in not just anywhere, but in appropriate, posts or newsletters that are aligned with what you're doing and what you are, people start recognizing your name. Oh, I've seen that person. I've seen that person. It just, almost like a subliminal message. But the second that you write something that is pertinent to this discussion, and somebody else engages with you, maybe even just a like, or somebody you're not even connected to, or they respond to it, or you start seeing that that one comment is getting more traction than your entire post or your entire event. Well, that's something to take notice. It means that there is a reason why it's getting shown. I'm not somebody big on, oh, we must go viral, we must have all these impressions, because that's not really the data we should be looking at. But the moment your comment or your message or whatever you're discussing reaches somebody that is somebody new, or somebody we haven't engaged with previously, that's a win. And that's why we do it. So even to a comment, a simple comment, we are now assigning a role. Maybe it's the role for people to know what I'm doing, why I'm here, why I tuned in today. So those are all very important things. Every time you're writing or typing something, make it count, even if it count once, because that's all it takes. It takes the one right person to see it and to engage with you, for that one action to travel far, far. So that's what we are discussing here today. And the title of today's event, it's also merging this storytelling, and that's what we really want to bring awareness to. We've been talking about storytelling and authenticity on LinkedIn, with with a lot of passion, for at least, I want to say, at least since early 2000. This was the main recurring topic. I think there is probably more content written on LinkedIn about storytelling and authenticity than in any other site. So at first, it was, oh, let's explain it. Oh, it's different now. I have to tell my story, right? And it was a novelty. Now it sounds almost like if storytelling. Yes, I know that. Everybody's talking about it. So does it mean that we have to discard it? Absolutely not. I mean, your story has a huge weight on your brand, on what you do, on how you're found, and how you're discovered, right? But it comes a point where you have to give it an architecture. You have to organize it. You have to see all the parts that where those connectivity point that people engaged with, or those things that people know you, or a piece of your story that you told somebody, a client, or a group of people at a live event, that it was attached to you, and it absorbed a particular meaning. We had to take those parts and make those parts the moments of AEO discoverability. Uh, Take those pointers and turn those into those answers that we provide. Or explaining the why. It's not always an answer to the question. Sometimes it's just an explanation to the meaning, an explanation to even why your whole brand exists, the reason behind it. That's what is getting discovered. That's what it's getting crawled. And if you're like me, there was a time where when we did really long posts, right? And pages, like almost 2 pages, where one post was super long. But then we realized that people were not really reading it, right? And LinkedIn told us, and we got a little bit wise to it. Or maybe we have to try something else, a shorter post, or an image that attracts. And then it was the time of the video. But the thing is, it was never just about that. It was about what you were writing at the very beginning of that post that made an impression. And now we're just amplifying that. So I encourage everybody to go to their LinkedIn profile, and just for simplicity, if you placed images, in your post, just click on images so that you kind of see all of your posting history, and just do a sort, take a glance, see what was working a year ago or 2 years ago, and chances are that if you just repost it, you're not going to get a lot of traction. But if you find the core topic within it, and you simplify it, and you structure it a certain way, you will produce similar results or bigger. So take the piece of content that a couple of years ago was doing something, restructure a little bit, give it some body, give it some headlines, some listicles, some bullet points, and really try within the first paragraph to provide the solution and the answer to what was the gist of the whole post. So that is really what's happening. Uh, it, we have this massive amount of content. We can just either scratch it and start from zero, or we can kind of analyze our work and see, okay, this is who I am, this is what I stand for, this is what I do. I expressed it in so many words. How can I now simplify it in blocks? Almost, I read somewhere the last couple of days that uh, the tweeting style of Twitter is back now for LinkedIn. The short, if you do one-liners, is what people want to consume now in terms of when they're scrolling and they're looking for posts. So if you could simplify a really good post of yours that was long, in that breaking news liner with all the right words that are relevant to your industry, uh, that's what's getting discovered. Does it mean that long form content is not good? No, it's great. It just doesn't belong in a post. It gets diluted in a post. So if you do want to do long form content, yes, it is great for discoverability. You just have to structure it really, really well. So when you do, for example, an article or a newsletter, you want that title that explains what it is about, maybe even a subtitle. Have it really structured in mini paragraphs, and just know that it is the first paragraph that tells the whole story and that gets discovered. So if you can really try to make that bold statement right then and there, or answer the question right then and there, that's what was going to get you AI discoverable. And the comments are, I'm not somebody that loves comments, but again, I don't do a lot of them. But when I do them, I do try for them to have a role and a meaning. So you don't have to do, I'm really, you don't have to do 200 comments, or you can do 200 comments if they are great comments, right? Uh, but even if you do just 5 good comments that kind of explain and provide those answers, those will get you discovered, will get you noticed, and will get you crawled. If you just do 200 random comments about, I'm here, hello everyone, great, I agree, and all that, it might a little bit, uplift your impressions artificially, but it doesn't do anything for you and what you're trying to achieve. Any you want to add?
Saying, oh, do I have an echo? I have an echo somewhere. What's
Somebody wants to go to the pool.
Yes, Jackie wants to go to your pool. Yes,
Well,
yes.
this is an artificial pool. There is a pool
I see
already,
that. Yes.
however, outside my building.
Her,
Yes.
her real pool is bigger and much
Yes,
more
it is.
glorious. There you go. Look, I think that you are making a point that which I think people say. It's like we don't hear when if we just listen, we hear what you're saying. Now, welcome, Lisa. How you doing? So Lisa shows tomorrow. Do join us. Jackie says one-liners are so hard for some of us, especially when I talk so much like relationships, re-entry, and travel. Also different. And dentist, my favorite dentist in the world is here as well. And the dentist I actually like. I don't like other dentists. Only this one. Anyway, look, Christina made a point I think is worth taking note of. Now, so Jackie just alluded to it about the one-liners. It's not about one-liners, Jackie. It's about answering the question in the first paragraph. You see, how we structure content. It's always been this way. You have an introduction, which gives you it's sometimes woolly, but alludes to the topic and to maybe your conclusion somewhere, right? And then you go into the body of your content, and then you have a conclusion. Almost like now to write for the search engines, that way your answer will be given as in search results. You must have to answer the question in the first paragraph. Rather than thinking one-liners, Jackie, my thinking is, what's the point of the rest of the article? Just answer the question, and you can also ignore the rest of it almost. But of course, these search engines need evidence, don't they, Christian? They need evidence. They need to know that what you're saying is credible. You can't just say, otherwise I would just do one paragraph blogs, literally. Now, you mentioned the long form content, long form posts. I'm glad they're going out of fashion. Thank goodness.
They
No one
have
ever.
the post, yes, not the newsletter. The
No,
post,
but
yes.
the posts, yes. Stop doing it. So I don't read any of them. I'm just like, oh my, I caught myself trying to read one today, and I just thought, no, 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 don't do any, don't. So I didn't.
But the thing is, if you really want to write, it's great, right? But then write a newsletter or write a book, and use those
Yeah,
one-liners to attract people to your content.
I agree. I agree. Like, go and write a blog if you really want to write long form content. Your post is not meant to be 2 pages. I mean, that's much, right? And people will be suspicious these days if they're thinking, are you using AI, or are you actually writing the content? Most people don't write the content themselves; they use AI. That's why it's so long. AI is long.
And
Go on.
the other thing is there is really no. So here's the thing: there is really no. So we are not giving anybody here a set of rules, right? If you want to write one personal story, and it's gonna be a little bit longer, right, for people to get to know you, that's there, and it is just for that reader that it's gonna take the time to read it. Personal stories still have a higher traction on LinkedIn than posts where you advertise what you're doing. So that's still true. But if you're really somebody that wants to do, motivational posts or something long to explain it, like she was saying, I talk so much about relationships, right?
Mm.
Re-entry and travel. These are also different. You can really do it in one liner. So what you do then, you do a newsletter, and then you use the one liner to attract people to the newsletter. The best way I can explain it is when you have a book and you have table of contents, each chapter, each title, it's enticing, it's attractive. You're trying to
Mm.
get somebody's attention with it, and it contains those keywords so people can say, "Oh, let me just skip to this chapter instead," or a summary. When at the end of a book, you have the best parts of the book, like the 20 most important teachings of this book. After you read it, you have a little some pages at the end where you have the most important parts, for you to just after you read the book, now you can move on and apply some of the things that you learned. So that think of it like that, where you have your own theory, your own philosophy, and then if you had to summarize in 20 steps for really to really people guide people through, what would they be? And use those as the beginning of posts, headlines of newsletter, in your comments, and do that often enough that you're going to start getting recognized for your way of thinking. So people
Mm.
don't have to read for 20, 30 minutes, something that you've written for 20, 30 minutes in a row to really understand your way of thinking of your philosophy. You can do that in snippets. And doing that in snippets is a strategy.
Yeah, no, it really it's a skill in itself. I think, as Jackie was saying, right? It's a skill. And I think you can write the answer somewhere. As long as you haven't got to write it heads up in its first paragraph, first line. I think you can, as long as you answer the question in your content. At least because I've seen citations from halfway down people's articles, right? And but the source is there, and because again, the problem is that we don't answer we rarely answer a question. We're writing for ourselves, but we think we're writing for other people, and of course, your point is that everything we do online must be intentional because it's part of our story. Think of that, my friend. Seriously, so if these platforms, Google included, Gemini in other words, all decide, it's not all decide, they all no, they analyze everything we do. What story are you telling? Is with your different activities, whatever, whether that's commenting in events like this, whether that's commenting on a post, whether that's writing a blog, or or even writing your own posts. What story are you really telling? Maybe even your LinkedIn profile. You know, unless all those things tally up and work together into a cohesive, sensible narrative. You're not. If you go, at best you'll be misunderstood. At worst, you just won't be considered as part of the answer at all because you sound confused, right? There's other people more,
Yes,
you
it
know.
has to be cohesive. It has to be cohesive, and it's good that you actually mentioned the LinkedIn profile. I mean, I feel like I talk about LinkedIn profiles until I'm blue in the face. So your LinkedIn profile, it does not have to be designed by a web designer. Okay, it just has to be clear. And it's okay if at first it's not perfect. The thing is, we get to where we are, where we get by trial and error. But it is worth it, especially, since I feel like we've been in this shift toward, how LinkedIn is understanding and promoting our content now for a couple of years altogether. But what it is essentially, it's a category tree, where you just say, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing, this is what I do for people, right? These are my services, these are my previous work experiences, and all that. So when I just put it like that, it sounds pretty robotic and almost like the old resume. But LinkedIn wants you to actually fill in all of those things. I mean, there is all kinds of creative and strategic ways to create, to craft the perfect headline. But the perfect headline doesn't do anything if it doesn't match your about page, and that both of them don't do anything at all if they don't actually match the skills. Do you have the skills that you're talking about in your about page or your headline listed as your top 5 skills in your LinkedIn profile, or are they buried under Microsoft Excel because that was one of the old skills that you had 6 7 years ago, right? So that's where we have to pay really attention to. And even your jobs, if you've been around for 5 minutes, you probably had lots of jobs. Do they need to be all there, and are they still relevant for your current endeavor, what you're doing now, your new career, your new business? Do they really need to be there, and do they match, or can I rewrite them in a way that explain the journey and they contain some of those skills and those words that are going to make complete sense? It's kind of like a wheel. It goes around and around and around, but in the end, there's got to be some similarities there. And so all that doesn't do anything if then you don't do what it says in the can. If that's what it says in the can on your profile, that's what the expectation for your content is, the expectations for your comments, the expectations for your newsletter, the expectations for your lives. I mean, it's good to mix it up, for the sake of networking a little bit. But the thing is, if you are a particular industry, you want to be talking about the industry as much as possible, and the results that as the expert you achieve or you have achieved for others in that particular industry. Uh, if you don't know how to do that, good news. AI is actually good for something. I mean, just try this prompt. Take screenshots of your profile the way it is and now, right now, load them into Gemini or ChatGPT and say, based on this profile, what are the 3 topics that I'm expected, or you should expect me to discuss continuously to elevate my brand? And if it makes sense to you, great. Stick to those topics for a while at least. See how they resonate, see who they attract, right? Comment on those very topics. If it makes no sense because that's actually not what I do at all, then there is a big misalignment. It's not aligned at all. There is something is not right. Maybe you have something to fix on that profile because it doesn't tell the real story of who you are, and it doesn't answer the question that you want to answer to be discovered. Want to add something, Annie?
Yeah, always. I'm pondering before I speak. I think Jackie raises an important question. Which I think I don't know whether you just answered it a bit. So Jackie's
Mm.
has many different things. She's a relationship coach, relationship, and she supports people through relationship and intimacy. So that's one part of her work. I work with re-entry people, so people live in prison, and people in prisons as well. And then of course she does the travel work, that travel with Jax, that thing as well, because she's a big
Oh, I
time.
see now what she's saying. Yes, because
Yes,
she deals with three different
yes,
topics, right?
yes,
Right.
yes.
So that's a dilemma because sometimes, we have to choose. We have to
Mm,
choose a main topic and see if we can align the other ones
mm,
with the main topic. So, you
mm.
know, we have one LinkedIn profile and multiple company pages that we can create, right? Now, company pages are only driven by your main profile. So unless you're serious about growing them, you get better results with your main profile. But you just have to decide what is the main business that I do want to run on this platform. And
Yeah.
then if there is a way to align, travel retreats for people in their relationship, for example, or, relationship associated with re-entry, right? So if you can somehow uh, combine them, great. But for you to understand how to do that, first you have to pick this. It. This is my core thing. This is my main thing, right?
Mm,
And
mm.
then find creative way to combine them. But you have to be successful in one first. You
Yes.
have to have the social proof in one first.
Mm, mm. That's
So
right.
you have to solidify one, and then you can create all the other branches and all
Yeah.
the other umbrella thing. Otherwise, you're just confusing.
Yourself.
Um,
You
no,
confuse yourself
you're
among them.
confusing. You're confusing. You're not leveraging LinkedIn the way you should because you're confusing LinkedIn and the large language models and all that. Now, it is absolutely not a criticism, right? Because I had the dilemma at one point. I loved more than one thing, right? But I
We
had
would.
to go and specialize in one. It doesn't
Mm,
mean that you cannot, do something specific on a day of the week and be known for, the social networking hour, talking specifically about something a little bit lighter. But it
yeah.
is so important if you're serious about making a living out of this to focus on one and
Mm.
be known for that.
I agree. Look, if I say we've all had this dilemma. I think most people have, right? Because you start with something in your business, then you expand into something else, and then how do you sort of bring the umbrella, everything under the same umbrella? For me as a marketer, that's where I started off, and then now the more publishing. Of course, I do events, but rarely hear me talking about doing events because I do events every day. That's like my bread and butter. But what makes me real money is where I have most impact is publishing. So I talk about publishing all the time. That's what I talk about. I'm lucky to a degree that my real excitement, my real thing, that the what gives me joy is finding marketing for authors that really does work. So I managed to mix my marketing with the books in a way that's coherent. I can bang on about marketing books all day. And just so you know, I'm not talking waffle for the sake of it. I think I got two leads today from LinkedIn because they saw they both said I watched an event, with this event, and you would. I'm like, oh, wow. The point is not my event. The point is for you to find your thing. You need to find your thing. When Christina says architect secret, you need to build your foundations on something. What is your presence built on? Newsletter. Okay, that's so you do newsletters that really have the impact, that give people so much that they will know you as a person who does that thing. And the problem I see, Christina, is that a lot of people will do bits of everything and bits of nothing, really. And they'll be surprised that the world doesn't say, "Oh, but you're amazing at that," because the world doesn't. You haven't given us enough to say you're amazing at that because, like you said, you have to actually do it. The proof is in the pudding, right? Actually doing,
A lot
it's,
of work. I was just talking to somebody. It's like, it's a lot of work. I mean, I find myself sending 30, 40 DMs every day, and they're not called DMs at all. They're not called because everybody just shuts the door in your face when you try that. They're just, nurturing DMs. And just now, I mean, this morning I was talking to somebody that I began building a relationship with those warm DMs a year ago, and now they're signing up for one of my programs. So that's the thing. That's what building that pipeline looks like. It's just nurturing those relationships. And newsletter is a great way to do it because it filters your network. Our networks pretty much for most people are a mess because we built it when we thought that having a huge following was important. Having all our friends liking our stuff somehow was gonna make us money, right? But we discovered the hard way. Well, it's nice that they're supporting us, but we're not monetizing that way. So although it's nice to have a lot of cheerleaders and support, and they're very precious, especially for referrals in your network, we have to assess it and say, wait a second, these are not going to be my customers. These are not people that are going to take me seriously enough to enroll in one of my programs, right? And it's hard because then some people get offended. It's like, oh, after all these years of going to the same events and being in the same circle, and now nobody comes to my my master class. So which, whatever. So that's the thing. It's our fault. Okay, so we have to connect with the right people. Now the newsletters help us with that because you pick a topic, you stick with it, and people subscribe. It means they were interested. Now let's find out what kind of interested they were by talking to them. If we don't talk to them, we don't have to talk to everybody. Just to say, hey, hi,
mm,
no pitch coffee chat. Let's talk about coffee, right? But when you have a newsletter that filters the topic, then you can have a conversation. It doesn't have to become a client all the time, but is there some synergy? Do we kind of have the same type of client? Are there, even if they are abstract and they are similar, then it might just be that they're similar clients because they are at the same stage point in their life where they are fed up and they gotta
mm,
change something with the elf, something with their new career. Maybe the elf is connected to the career because they
mm.
don't feel confident. So there is always a way to collaborate with someone on something, but you have to figure it out what the connection is.
Yeah. And then Jackie, I don't know because you do such work out of compassion. I don't know which one pays you the most. Which one makes the most money for you out of these three things: the relationship, re-entry, and travel work that you do. I'm saying. No, I'd say the one I talk about is the one that pays me the most. No, I'd say, but the fact that it ties into the marketing helps because eventually I can bring that in. Again, in our first workshop, Christina, we say we talked through understanding your core products and then what the related to the secondary and tertiary products that you sell, right? And they have to work together. You have to know what the core offer is, and then and then you have to have add-ons. Whether you're going to have merchandise, whether you're going to have, events. I'm saying the trick is to make what you do work together primarily, right? If you can do that, it's much easier. I say all that because in the day, there was a day when I was charging, let's say, £100, $100 to do an event, right? And then, of course, I have a price, say, let's say, £1,000 for publishing your book on a good day. If it's just a straightforward layout and publish it, right? And depends on size and everything else, right? But then it's a day when I worked out, okay, fine, I will, help you write your book. That has a bigger price than anything else, right? But essentially, write your book, publish your book, and market and launch your book and do a bestseller. So now I've gone from charging £100 for an event to thousands because each stage in that continuum, in that whole package, does give you, it gives you something else. But no, but at the same time, it gives you, it's more services, more results. But more importantly, it gives my clients what they really want. Like, a client doesn't want to do an event for the sake of doing an event. They want to do an event to sell books. Yeah, I know. Right. I'm saying, what do you know your clients really need? Create that service. Create that niche. It doesn't exist as a sector, as a thing today. Create it and make it happen, right? And I said that's number one, I would say for sure. I would say welcome, John. Great to see you. Glad you're here. Thank you so much for joining us. Jackie, I saw Jackie's got a funny question, right? So trying those. I think this is America advising you, Jackie. Jackie's saying, I had no idea. I love the idea of putting your info into AI to see if it matches what we want it to say. I never really thought of that. Like Christina made me do this first of all. She do a search for yourself. Just open any of the AI platforms that you might use, Jackie. Claude, Gemini, that's Google's AI, even ChatGPT, Perplexity, whichever one you choose to. Right? Just ask them, who is Jackie Holberg, LMSW?
You can also ask where are you getting cited? Is there
Right.
any references to my name without searching directly for it? And Perplexity is really good at mining data. Gemini is getting it. Gemini is the last, I want to say, the last 6 months has kind of surpassed a lot of the other ones. But when it comes to mining data, I love Perplexity for it. Claude I like too, but I use the free version, so it keeps cutting me off. But I get more work done either with Perplexity or Gemini these days,
Yeah.
and that's
Right.
it. But this is important.
Mm.
If you think about your network, your friends, the people in your circle, right, and think of the nice ones, the ones that will send you a referral.
Mm.
Why are they able to refer you? Because they taken time to really figure it out what it is that you do.
Yes.
Over multiple conversations, lots
Yes.
of laughs and this and that. They now figure out, okay, that's what you do, right? And they're able to send the right people to you casually, and those are already pre-qualified. Same thing with the large language models.
Mm.
If they don't get a clear picture of what you do, they're not going to mention you, or they're going to mention you for something completely different that is not, in the end, you know, bring money home, right? So
Mm.
that's what the thing is. It took. I have a dear friend here, and it was my fault. But it took years for her to figure out exactly what I was doing.
Why?
Because because I'm here because it's been a journey, right? So
Yeah.
at first
Yeah.
I was builders of dreams. Then I was giving all the free advice and tools to people, right? So if you want to know about free tools, talk to Christine. I was like, no, that's not what I wanted. I was actually trying to get people starting their business from the ground up.
Mm.
And then it evolved. I realized that I still do that, and I do that mostly with institutions when I teach. Uh, but I realized that most of us have been around for a little bit, right? So it is particular things that are going to get you to the next level that
Yeah.
is my thing. But it took a while to be really clear. This is it.
Mm.
It's about the positioning. It's about your message landing. So in 2021, if you look at my profile, it wasn't that way. It was a bit confusing, and I did post a lot of poetry too. So I'm a poet and I know it, but that's not how I make my money, right?
Look, and as you're talking, I'm just thinking back to the days when the internet was small. When we just started, I'm thinking, say 2000s when I started online. I said there were 5,000 websites. So you can imagine if you did a search on Google, you could you can almost predict it's going to come up because they write about the same thing. You know, who talks about trading, who talks about X, Y, Z. So well, today, my friends, there are billions of websites, billions of people online, billions, literally billions, right? Probably more websites than humans. So I think we have to take it really seriously what we need to do to be the person who gets above everyone else. Who gets shown as the answer to someone's question. Really, so confusion, Jackie. We, can't, we need total clarity, even if it's only for a period of time, as Christina said. What do you want to get known for, and that's what you focus on for a period at least. And it's that's in everything that we do. And so it's doable. I've seen it done. We are doing it. That's why I'm confident teaching with Christina that these things can be done. There was a time when I lost all faith and I thought it can't be the big boys always win, the big companies always win, they got budget. But they don't that your customers more than anyone else. If you're thinking I don't really, then that's where the work is, right? Get to know your customers and get to know what they're really asking, get to know what the problems really are. So when someone makes a video about why are there bubbles on my wall after I painted it, sounds like a random, but clearly the person knows what decorators go through. They know the things that really jar a decorator's brain. And they've made a video to answer the question. I'm saying no, we need that's a level that we need to come at this from. Yes, in everything we do, but there's many different ways, which of course we're going to cover in our workshop on the 27th, Christina, right? So we'll give you real tools, real methods that you can go away and implement to start taking control of what the AI tools are saying about you, because you must. I mean, look, be brave. Go and do a search, and then you see what you see, and then decide: does that reflect who I am, how I want to be seen, who I help, how I help? If it doesn't, there's solutions. That's the beauty of where we are. The problem, the problem, Christina, before I give you the mic back, is if we carry on ignoring this over time, more and more people get into our niche. They provide answers that we don't provide. And then I would hate for it to be 10 years down the line that you're thinking, I'm still not known for what I do, where someone else suddenly comes along and they are. They're doing all the right things. That's a risk that I see. I think whereas if we can get ahead of the game now, start creating a presence and content, and just general being known for being the person who does that thing. We can milk this for the next 10, 20 years. That's the thing, right? And that's the truth. Go on, Christina.
I want to be retired by then.
I'm sure you do.
so, uh, so yes,
Oh, no,
you too, right?
I'm retired now mentally, but no, well, no, I'm joking. No, it's time. I don't know. There's too much for us to create. I got this a lot of creation for us to do. Again, I love Simon's. Welcome, Simon. How are you doing? So Simon talks about men and menopause. Yes, the unwitting partners. Yeah,
Well, let me answer this
that's a good
question.
word for it. Yeah, and I love his questions. Won't LLM simply repeat back to you what you already told about yourself if you ask what you're known for?
Yeah, so LLMs, right? Beyond your own ChatGPT or your own AI. when you are logged in. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So yes, if you're on in a conversation with your chatbot and you say, "Hey, what do I do?" Of course they know, right? Uh, but you have to go externally, maybe not being logged in or doing another search, but they're able to differentiate and say, "What information do you find under this name? What is this person known for?" Right? Um, what is the information coming from? Is it coming from LinkedIn? Really ask those questions. But that's if you ask about your specific name. You can do that to see what kind of result comes out, right? I did a search for Annie, looking for Annie, and what happened is that all the body of work that he had created with his event descriptions and his LinkedIn profile over time had compiled a story about who he is, what he does, and his career. So that's one thing, that's one thing. That's if somebody wants to say, oh, let me check this person out. What are they known for, right? And people can do that with Google, and you get some results, especially if you've been on LinkedIn for a minute, because LinkedIn content and LinkedIn newsletter is getting picked up by SEO still. Um, but you can also, the thing is, most people are online all the time and they're using their chatbots all the time. So it's very likely that, while they're looking at something, they'll just use their chatbot and ask a question about somebody else. The name of the game is not to really look at yourself, to see, oh, good, I look good here. But the name of the game is to really understand what else about you gets picked up aside from your name. So
Mm.
one search and research data search that you can do is asking, where is my content appearing? I'm this person on LinkedIn. This is my biggest footprint right now. Where am I being mentioned? So those are important things that you can ask.
Mm.
And what words am I being, what words that I'm using are the ones that are getting picked up more and more often, right? Or simply ask, what question, what answers, what questions should I answer? But what's happening here is this. You said it, right? You've been in marketing for a long time. uh, at first it was kind of like a directory because we came from directory before the internet, and so now the directory, we Google AdWords, and back in the day Yahoo, right? What was doing was pulling a bunch of links, so you had to associate the right words for and the right industry for and the right demographics for that link to be pulled out by their directory. So you did a search and you got links, and you want to be one of those links. Now we are moving to, let's explain. So think of it as a dictionary where every word is explained, and every role and every actions that you've taken to develop your business and in your career is explained. So you want to be deliberate when you're writing about providing those explanations, you know, as short as possible and as on top of your content as possible, and consistent with who you are, your interest in what you're doing, and who you hope to reach. And the thing is, we've gotten here as a result of what we've been training AI to do before AI got a name. We ask questions. How many times we went on Google and asked so many crazy questions, like if we were like a 3-year-old kid. How does this work? And so those are the questions that they were recorded, and that's what AI is using. He's using all those searches. He's using all those the content that we have created and associating those questions, those queries with the content whenever they can, whenever they find the connection. If you not sure what are people asking that is related to my industry, well, go on Reddit. So many questions are asked every second, right? And you'll get an idea. So we are asking questions every day, every 2 seconds. We want to know how to do things, how to achieve results. And when we're looking for somebody that can help us achieve the results, once we find a source that we say, oh, okay, this is being cited as a reputable source, or this article is being cited as pertinent to my search, then we go there. Now we add that link in that directory, but it's just that it's not working that way anymore. SEO is still viable, keywords are still valid, but it's getting more and more blended with AEO. With AEO, we provided those answers, answer engine optimization. So what you want to do is optimize everything that you've already been doing, your content, your storytelling, and all that, to be able just to simplify it in a way that when when somebody that is not human, when the large language models scan it, they recognize the verbiage immediately. They recognize that clear, clear directive, clear response immediately. It's going to take time, but it's not as overwhelming as you think. If you've been on LinkedIn creating content for a minute, just look at all your content. Look at it, find the pattern, find the answer within it, and just repurpose it that way.
Like that. You see, I mean, to answer Simon's question, Simon, I remember I went to Felipe's room, Felipe and Melissa Houston's room a while ago, about a month ago, right? And I think I made a comment because obviously this is what we talk about these days, Christina and I, and Leslie and I, right? And I say I'm intent. My mission is getting us businesses to benefit from this answer engine optimization AEO, right? And so I asked, as I said, I think I said the biggest problem is that many people don't get found, almost like we don't exist when it comes to these AI search engines, which and all search engines are AI these days. They always have been, as Christina just said, right? And someone replied to me, in the comments and said, I'll just tell ChatGPT what to say about me. I'm like, yes, that sounds really good. It sounds smart. It sounds brilliant because they're foolish, obviously foolish platforms, right? But I think and I replied later on. So what you miss is that every search engine wants to be credible. They want to give people credible responses, not just a response. I want to give them credible answers. If someone says, "How do I?" What is? They want to give an answer that's correct somehow, right? Based on evidence, based on logic, based on research, based on insights, based on something, right? So now, yes, as Christina said, the chat GPT will tell you what you tell it on your computer, but it will tell me something entirely different. Almost like, you have to log into these systems not as you and ask a question and see what other people will get. So
Look, this very event will be picked up as an answer to a question
exactly,
because there
exactly.
is a very clear title and there is a very clear description.
Mm,
So, and there are comments, that we're making and here and there. So eventually it will be picked up. But the thing
great.
is, the challenge is we know that, and have we always been good about making sure that our event was clear, our description was clear, and the comments were all good? Probably not, because we are getting some awareness now. So one thing that could be done is when you go back and you answer those comments, be deliberate about what you're saying. Make sure that you stay on topic and you repeat those words. Um, don't count just on one because the large language models make up their mind not just because of one event, but
Mm,
because of multiple events, for example.
yeah,
Or, wait a second, this event matches the content of this newsletter and it matches this comment all by the same person.
mm,
Relevancy. There you go.
yeah, yeah. And there's something you said in the middle of all of that. Yeah, I think it's so important, which is that what we were doing 5 years ago, 10 years ago, still follows us today, right? That's what, and then those who are being shown as the answers to people's questions were answering those questions from years ago. They've been doing it for years. That's why I said I want us to be the answer going forward in 10 years' time, rather than looking back in 10 years' time and saying, "Oh, I'm still not being cited anyway."
It doesn't take that long.
Right? Is it
LinkedIn
work
is
we do
very
now?
powerful.
Right? Is the work we do now? Right? Is the work we do now? Put the work in now, and you see the benefits for years to come. And there's many ways, there's many methods that we need to get out there. So most of us, we're on LinkedIn, so I would say we are social media people, most of us, right? But just think, LinkedIn has 1 billion users, or active users, so to say, right? Who log in every month. That means there's at least 9 billion people who don't log into LinkedIn ever. How are you tapping into those people?
Yeah, you have to cross pollinate your content here and there, but at the same time, you don't want to dilute what you already built. So you have to do it, strategically, methodically, trial and error, until you feel confident. You say, okay, I should probably be here too. And we're busy. We got clients. We got things to do. So starting a whole other social media platform thing, it might feel overwhelming. So
Mm,
I've done one very slowly, but I'm gonna put more effort into it because I'm finding my Substack articles online and being cited. I'm like, oh man, I haven't posted in months there, right? I should probably do those articles because they're articles. And
mm.
I learned this from Substack to really pay attention to your real estate. You know, newsletter, post, poll, profile. We gotta fill all those fields because that's how things are getting picked up. The beauty of marketplaces or social media platform is that they guide you through what they need from you. So, let's just be thorough and get the information in there, and then after you prepare the label for what it says on the can, stay with it. Do what it says. Show those ingredients in your content.
Yeah, no, for sure. Look, and I'll say this. Partly the answer to being visible, being discoverable in modern search is simply, I guess, you have to have the right presence in the right places, as you said, Christina, right? Take two away from us today. Substack is one of them. I'm not a great. I'm not. I've never used it, so I don't really know, right? Again, like, look into it. Can that help you to to share your stories? Of course it can, right? Is it now? Are
It
you willing to
can.
put the work in, right? Are you willing to put the work in?
It can, but don't make the mistake to just go and forget about what you already built. That's the whole thing.
Yes, yes.
Don't run to another place.
No, no, we live in an omni-channel world. Omni-channel means you have to be on many channels at once. But you have to, if you're not consistent across the board, then confusion, as we said earlier, is what will reign, right? You don't want that. You want clarity about who you are, who you help, how you help. And no, that's those are the main parts. Look, the best place to say all these things that's under your control is a website. Sorry about that, my friend. But don't just go and create a website. Don't just go and create a dumb website. I see it every day. Don't do it. Don't fall for the person who's going to create a website that looks great. The websites have to talk to the search engines. Otherwise, it's not going to work for you. And many of us have websites that don't work for that very reason, right? Now, so what think about getting yourself a website. One thing you're going to see more and more these days, my friends, is that everyone is going to have a personal site as well as a company website. It's called Entity Home. There's an neosong.com website. I'm like, I don't want it. I don't want it. And she's like, no, shut up. You don't want, let me do it. You see why I'm doing it, right? And she did. And literally, my presence is built on what's on that website primarily. Of course, the other things, your presence everywhere else then has to come into play, right? Website saying one thing, LinkedIn saying something else, as Christina said, no, it's dumb. It's just weird. Don't be that person.
Yeah, you
We
want
do
to
need
do
to,
things gradually.
we really, really do. Jackie, I appreciate your comment and thank you for joining us. This is why we do what we do, right? Jackie says, no, I really need to hear all of this today because I have a full-time job, what the day job as we call it. I don't focus on my personal marketing as much as I'm going to now. That's the point of today's conversation, my friends. Literally focus on your personal marketing, and it is a personal marketing thing primarily. Say, but that links into your business presence, your business persona, your business identity. Call it that, right? But we can't just leave it to chance anymore. We actually have to actively affect these things. So and no, so my joy is that I get to work with experts who can make this happen. And that's where Christina comes into this. That's where my coding genius Leslie comes into this, right? Come to our masterclass on the 27th if you want to learn more. Better still, connect with Christina long before that. If you come to me, I'll just send you to both of them anyway, because Christina is a non-technical AEO person. Leslie is a technical one. So and we need the whole mix to make it work. All I want to do is write your books and do events with you, right? I'm just saying. you
Yeah,
know.
and here's the thing, right? You have to do so. There is many of you here that want to start and build a business, and there is nothing more overwhelming on day one to think than thinking, I need the website, I need the logo, I'm doomed. I don't know how to do any of these. So here's the thing: you gotta start by sharing your message, and then refine it little by little. Technical, not technical. Of course, if you want a professional website at some point, get it done by the right person, right? But do you need one to start on day one? Probably not, because on day one, you gotta figure out what it is that you're doing, what it is that your business does, and what your business sells, and now where it's getting monetized. Is LinkedIn enough to monetize it? It is, in a way, but your business is not LinkedIn. So your work is not to wake up in the morning, post and comment, and hope something drops from the sky, right? So that's not what it is. But that's an outlet. That's a place where you can distribute your message, and in a way it gives you more instant visibility and connectivity than a website with no CEO would do. Because if you go and do your own website and there is no content in there and your name is not mentioned anywhere else, I mean, you're gonna have to pay a lot of money on ad to get the thing visible. So if you want to start where, okay, I'm not going to pay a lot of money on that because I'm not even sure what it is that I'm advertising, then build your footprint. And now know that you should do that deliberately, even if it's a social media landing page, because social media landing pages, they bring business and they make money. So as long as you have a clear way for people to work with you. You have a package offer. It's very clear what you do. And when you get on those phone calls, it's not just to get to know you and, no pitch, let's talk for hours. This is what I do. This is what I can do for you. What do you do, right? Is there some alignment? Doesn't have to be a cold transaction all the time, but is there some alignment? Are we both business people that are trying to make something work, right? And how can we work together? So be deliberate about the role that you assign to your posts, your connections, people you're connecting with, your LinkedIn subscribers, your event collaborators, people that you engage and you associate with. And I do that deliberately. I don't associate just with anybody.
I'm with you on the old ways of connecting. They're dead, right? The other day, I think I called 120 people off my connections. In days gone by, I would have kept them on regardless because and the reason I got rid of them is it's partly because they do nothing for me. I do nothing for them at all. They've never been to my events, never responded to anything I've ever done. No, they probably connected with me and pitched me something. When I said no, then suddenly they're just there. I'm saying they're doing nothing for you, my friends. You know, don't keep them. It's more. Social media is much more fun if you have the right connections, people you're interested in working with. People who might be able to. Maybe you want to learn from them. I'm saying, but people that you're interested in being connected to. There's value for both of you, right? There's value for you especially, right? They're the ones you want to keep. And then because the way the whole system works, if you connect with the right people, then LinkedIn will show you their content. Then you can make relevant, value added comments. You can make meaningful comments, not just great, I love that, well done, congratulations. No. You can actually talk about the issue that you are interested. No, I mean for Jackie, finding people who talk about relationship issues. I'm saying, imagine if you're connected with more of those people. Finding the content would be so much easier. You then laying the footprint. If that is your sector, it's much. Because the topic resonates with you, right? And it's just so much easier. I'm saying this is just some things that we can all do. But don't. America said it earlier. Don't be scared to change your skills. Don't be scared to change the people on your network. Really. Truly, if they're not serving you, get rid of them. It's almost better to have 10 good friends as your connections than 1,000 people who don't know you when no one knows you at all. But that said, LinkedIn still works off this 500 plus connection thing to give you real credibility. It's how much can you how much of those people do you really know? How much of those people do you really support? Do you engage with? That's all part of the picture. As America says, don't be afraid to remove skills, endorsements, or roles that are no longer relevant. And again, I think this is a lesson for all of us, Christina, in that we have to constantly mold our identity, mold our stories that we're telling, mold the presence that we're having. It's not once and done. We have to actively keep an eye on what we're saying, where we're saying it, who we're saying it to, and why we're saying it. All of that, right? This is all part of the architecture, my friends. Anyway, our time's come to an end, Christina. 11 o'clock, so we've done an hour and a half, right? It's
Yes.
there's a lot more conversations. It's a masterclass next. I don't think it is. I think there's one more before the masterclass, right?
Yeah, we can do one more just as a reminder. We'll talk about it.
Yeah,
It will be just a few days before. But one thing that I just wanted to leave everybody with is this. It seems overwhelming, to have to do all this to be able to, being discoverable, to be cited. But it takes less time than you think. I have clients I just finished working with, within about, I want to say it was about 60 days of consistent, newsletter article and showing up in the right places. They got picked up immediately. But being picked up alone is not going to bring in, the sales. So now that you have that and that's happening, just observe where you cited, right? Try to go inside the conversation, inside that page. That's where you do your deliberate networking in and outside of LinkedIn. If you write an article, as somebody is saying is engaging with it, and they made a comment, or even if you notice that they're supporting it consistently, you have to talk to this person. You have to say, hey, where are you at? What's going on? You're subscribed, great, right? If you don't make the first connection and you don't actually have right conversation, then you're just collecting names and numbers.
yeah.
So it's not
That's
okay. Now I'm discoverable. I'm waiting for my phone to ring. Is it ringing? That's not what's happening, right? Now then you have to go after, you have, not necessarily aggressively, but this is the context.
Mm.
This is what I do. Are you looking for support? Uh, what did you find most useful about what you just engage with? And some people won't reply, and that's okay. So you can make a mental note that maybe we shouldn't be connected if they're not even active. So there are people that are not even really active, and it's not to be mean, but if they're not posting, they're not engaging, and they just one day woke up and clicked on something randomly, it again is not really going to serve you. You want to identify those people that are active in your industry, in the topics that you talk about, and be there.
Yes. No. And if you look, talk to Christina. Christina spends her day learning that we're using AI to mine data and to find she knows how to find what people are talking about in any niche, and and who, and all of that. It bores me to death, by the way. I'm just saying, hashtag, right? Like Christina is the one who does all that stuff. And I dare say, my friends, one of the best way to get known as a person who knows about anything is to write your book. Write your book. Your book, it lives on, and yes, the tools do read your book, because the books are there. They'll just read the summary anyway, right? Write your book, and then you become the expert. You can, if you think of what happens in the real world. If a TV channel or radio station wants an expert, they don't look on LinkedIn necessarily. They look on for authors who write books. So don't ignore that as one way to definitely get across your expertise and any topic at all. In the meanwhile, connect with Christina. Say no, pick her brains. No, she's a bit stingy with her. Stingy is an English word, right? She's a bit tight with her coffee chats. No, I'm much more free. She's very tight.
I don't mind the brain pickings, provided that they lend to a mutual beneficial solution. And I do not mind if you have a question. If you want to send me a message, I will definitely answer. But when you say brain picking, I have this image of Frankenstein and part of his skull gone and a bunch of birds picking at it. So our time is valuable, right? Your time is valuable, my time is
Yes,
valuable,
yes.
people's time is valuable. So I have a lot of collaborative chats where we meet and we discuss, okay, what is there some synergies? If somebody's been a supporter for a long time, I'll definitely have a conversation. But the thing is, if you mean business, you will learn how to protect your time. You'll know that you can't take 30 coffee chats a week. So you cannot do that. You can't. So you have to
No,
make those slots available for those you want to build something with.
five or 10 a week. Say one a day is what I normally do. If I can do two, but that's not every day. Say we have to be more discerning, more choosy. That's what I say. Right. I just suddenly thought, why haven't you been on Jackie's show? On Just Jack's?
Who,
Christina,
me?
yes, that's a question to you. Yes,
Well,
you.
I don't think I've
Yes,
gotten
you.
an invite. So
Well, you have to connect with Jackie and then have a
we
conversation
chatted
and
a
see.
few weeks ago, I think. Yeah.
Well, you had a coffee chat. Jackie, you didn't invite her to your show? Damn.
That's okay. Don't
Damn
put
the
Jackie
shame.
on the spot. I mean, I think that no, I think Jackie shared with me that she's working full time. Besides on this comment previously, so it is quite a little bit of work, and you probably already have the line of people in your network.
All right.
Um,
I'll work on her, Jackie. I'll work on Christina. It's you I need to convince tonight to want to go on the show and share some of your stories and all that. Anyway, look, my friends, now time has come to an end. I say, so do look out for Jackie's show later. I shall share the link in the comments just because I'm nice that way, right? I'm nice. Right. Christina, now, what do you want to leave us with today?
well, I'm gonna leave us with this. if you mean business and if you really want to monetize what you're building, you have to assign roles and be deliberate to your tasks and the actions you take. And that includes connections and people you do talk to. It doesn't mean you don't talk to people who don't do business with you. It just means that you have to be very clear. Are they a supporter? Are they a cheerleader? There's somebody that likes to do meaningful comments on my content, right? All those type of things. They are very important. They're things that you really want to know where you stand with somebody, because even if you know that when you have a conversation with somebody, you know exactly what the context is and what you're going to be discussing. If you don't know, you're just blindsided. So I know it's a topic that we discuss often here, these coffee chat things, right? Coffee chats are great. God knows I've done so many in my time, right? No pitch, free coffee chat, and most of the times I really don't pitch. I diagnose anyway. Uh, but at a certain point, I didn't have enough room on my calendars for them. So that's, and then you have to, you have to be deliberate about, I need to have this type of call because all my otherwise I'm booked with coffee chats that are not going to provide the services that I'm here to provide. So that's what it is. And being deliberate in your actions, in the roles you assign, is eventually what's going to help you being discoverable and close the deals. That's what you want
Yeah.
to do. That's what you're here for, right? It's, I love having these conversations. I can talk for hours, but in the end, we gotta close those deals because we want our businesses to be sustainable. We want them to sustain us.
Yeah, and they can, and they will, right? In good time, they will. For sure.
Don't make me to be the Grinch.
Sorry,
All
my
right.
screen, wouldn't be funny. Right. Okay. So I think I've put the link to Jackie's show. So I see you now, Bill. How you doing? Is Bill's wind down the same time as Jackie's show? Jackie, no, I think Bill show is an hour later. I think that's if it is today. It's always interesting, the wind down. It's 4 a.m. 3 a.m. my time when it happens, whereas for you it's 10 p.m., which is rather weird, right? So Just Jacks with Molly and Stacey's today's show. Then that's at 2 a.m. my time. What's that? 9 p.m. Eastern, I think. Yeah, 9 p.m. Eastern. So do join that for sure. Does Jackie say? So I want people to ask me to be a guest, but I did send her the message during the show. Right. So she wants you on there, Christina. She says she says it clearly. Right.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Great. Thank you. I'll be happy to oblige one of these days. And
No, I'm not.
yeah, you know, we did talk about connecting. I mean, we had an exchange in DMs. But yeah, I did
No.
see when you were a guest, though. I was there when you were a guest.
Yeah, no, see, I know Jackie has a way of doing her shows, which I just think are brilliant. But then again, we've been doing shows for years. I remember saying I probably got more inspiration from Jackie and Damien when I watched them years ago, the audio room years ago. To think, yeah, this is how you actually do what you do and do it with kindness. So, and that's why I'm always a fan from the fans. She's always like, unlike me, I can sit still, just sit still, Christine. And the thing I'm asleep. Whereas Jackie is always like, I'm like, how do you move so much, woman? How you got so much energy? I just can't do it. Well, she's got it all anyway. And she's like that heart of gold that we all need, right? Bill, I'm not
Any,
everywhere. Let's say when I do my shows, I show up, right? Go on.
any, I hate to cut this short, but I do
We need
have
to
an
go.
upcoming call. Yes, and I have a
Yeah.
call in 5.
No, thank you, everyone. So do enjoy. So if it's not your Jackie's show, then we'll see you another time. I'm gonna play the start music again because I didn't upload the end music. Even though I've got it, but let's go again. So join us in 2 weeks' time, my friends. But let's connect in the meantime. Take care. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.
And he sees you. He sees you. He sees you. Oh, from the children with no voice in borrowed rooms to the magazines that carry their truth. 25 years of the same steady hand.